When family doesn't feel safe, especially around the holidays, it can bring up a very specific kind of pain. The kind that's quiet, invisible, and very hard to explain. The holidays can be complicated. They're filled with expectations of warmth, connection, and joy. But for many of us, those expectations feel like pressure. Hi there. If we've never met, my name is Raquel Perez, and I am a licensed therapist here in the state of Colorado. I help individuals heal their relationships and reconnect to themselves. And today, I want to talk about something very personal. My own story of coming out and learning to find safety again when the people that I loved most and meant most to me couldn't quite meet me there. Because this time of year, when families gather and traditions return, old wounds have a way of resurfacing, especially when our truth doesn't quite fit the version of us that others still hold. For most of my life, I was living a version of myself that didn't quite fit. I was a gay woman living as a straight one, not because I didn't know, but because I couldn't imagine what it would cost to be honest. When I finally came out at 39, it felt like an earthquake and a homecoming all at once. There was so much joy and relief, but also fear, guilt, and grief. I remember thinking, I owe people an explanation of why I had lived the way I did, why I hadn't said anything sooner. And underneath that, there was a quiet voice that was asking, will they still love me? Will they still see me as me? My parents were very religious, and I was terrified that they wouldn't understand. But I had met a wonderful woman who is still my partner 4.5 years later. And I knew I couldn't keep living so disconnected from my truth. That conversation with my parents was one of the hardest ones of my life. There were tears, confusion, and silence. And at the same time, there was my sister, the one person who stood firmly beside me. And she reminded me that I didn't have to go through this alone. It wasn't perfect. There were growing pains, awkward holidays, and moments of distance. But slowly something shifted, not because everyone around me changed, but because I did. I stopped needing them to understand everything in order for me to feel whole. I finally started to realize that safety doesn't always come from being understood. Sometimes it comes from finally understanding yourself. And the holidays can amplify that tension in such a powerful way. Even if your family isn't overly rejecting, there can still be these subtle moments, comments, questions, or looks that make your body tense up just a little bit. Maybe you're debating whether to bring your partner to dinner. Maybe you're preparing yourself for that moment when somebody asks, so, are you seeing anyone? Or maybe you've stopped going altogether because being in that environment makes you step back into a version of yourself that you've outgrown. And I want to name something here. You're not dramatic for feeling unsafe. You're not being overly sensitive or difficult. Your body is simply responding to years of patterning, moments where you've had to hide, shrink, or self-protect. This time of year, it carries emotional memory, even if you're surrounded by people that you love. Those old dynamics of being the good one, the quiet one, the people pleaser, the one who's always there to smooth things over, those can reawaken. So if you find yourself feeling anxious, disconnected, or numb this season, that's not a personal failure. That's your nervous system doing what it learned to do. Protect you. Let's talk for a moment about what's happening inside of the body when we're around family and we don't feel safe. When your body senses that threat, even if it's emotional threat, it can shift into survival states. You might notice it as the pit in your stomach before a gathering, the tightness in your throat when somebody makes a comment about your life, the way you space out or get really quiet just to get through the night. That's not weakness. That's physiology. Your nervous system is saying this doesn't feel safe right now. So what can you do? The first step is awareness. Simply noticing, oh, I'm contracting, or My breath just got really shallow. That noticing is powerful. Then bring your awareness to something that feels grounding. Maybe setting your feet firmly on the ground, bringing your hand over your heart, or taking a deep inhale and exhale. These small practices, they don't fix the situation, but they remind your body that you can hold yourself through it. That's what real safety work looks like. It's not pretending that you're fine. It's building the internal muscle to stay connected to yourself, even when the environment feels unsafe. When external safety is uncertain, when acceptance isn't guaranteed, we have to learn to anchor our safety from within. Here are a few tools that have helped me and many of my clients. First, ground in your truth. Remind yourself your identity, your relationships, your choices, they are valid. You don't have to explain or justify your existence. If someone doesn't understand, that's a reflection of their limitations, not your worth. Number 2, choose your support system. Healing rarely happens in isolation. Whether it's a sibling, a friend, a partner, or a chosen family, surround yourself with those who reflect back your truth. Let them be your emotional home base when biological family feels just out of reach. Number 3, practice micro boundaries. Boundaries don't have to be dramatic. Sometimes they sound like, I'd rather not talk about that. Let's change the subject. Or even just stepping outside to take a breath. Boundaries are not rejection. They are a sign of self-respect. Number 4, create rituals. If old traditions feel painful, build new ones. Maybe that's hosting a small friends dinner, taking a solo trip, or starting your own rituals of peace, like lighting your favorite candles, journaling, meditation. Rituals are anchors, reminding you that you can redefine what love and belonging look like. When I look back at that version of myself, the woman who was terrified to be honest, the one who carried so much fear about disappointing others, I feel immense compassion. She was doing the best she could with the tools that she had. And now, after a few years of living my truth, I can say this: there is nothing more liberating than being fully seen, even if not everyone claps for it. The holidays will never be perfect, but they can be honest. They can be peaceful. They can be yours. So if you're walking through this season feeling unseen, misunderstood, or disconnected, know this: you are not alone. You are worthy of peace, and you are allowed to build a life that feels safe, true, and entirely your own. Thank you for being here with me today. If this message resonated with you, I want you to take a slow and steady breath and remind yourself that you don't have to have it all figured out this holiday season. You are allowed to take it one breath, one boundary, one gentle moment of honesty at a time. And if you're wanting something to support that process, to help you come back to yourself when things feel overwhelming, I created a free booklet called Sacred Spaces. It's a gentle guide that helps build safety from the inside out through small body-based practices, reflection prompts, and grounding rituals. Because before we can access clarity or connection or insight, we have to feel safe enough to see ourselves clearly. So if you've ever found yourself shutting down, second guessing, or losing your sense of peace around others, this resource, it was made for you. You can download it today for free using the link down below. As you read it, I invite you to take it slowly. Maybe light a candle, make yourself a warm cup of tea, and let the exercises in it be your calm amid all the noise. And if you'd like more therapy-informed tools on a weekly basis, guided meditations, and reflections like this one, I'd love for you to subscribe to Everyday Therapy. We're building a space here, not just for information, but for transformation. I'm sending you warmth, peace, and permission to come home to yourself this holiday season and every season after. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, check out this meditation, which is designed to help guide you into your truth and set those boundaries to keep your peace during the holiday season. Well, my friend, that is all I have for this video. Until next time, bye for now.